if you look at the arc of the Biden presidency, he was in really good shape until August of 2021. When Afghanistan happened, he went under 40, she went under 40, and they really lived there until the end of the presidency. He's still there.
Why?
Look, I'll tell you why.
Because he ran and told us that the adults were back in charge, and that was the opposite.
Yeah, they
of
were
that.
because Donald Trump was a child.
And you know what else?
Yeah.
And you know what else? The fact that they wouldn't give these 13 service members' families the time of
bullshit,
day.
Dude.
Time of day.
I'm sorry, but Donald Trump hates veterans. He called them suckers and losers. He did.
I'm packing you an extra pair of shoes and your angry eyes, just in case. And if you get hungry, here's some cheese puffs.
Mr. Potato Head is referring to an Atlantic article from 2020 where the sources for it are completely anonymous and it's never been proven. Even Snopes, yes, Snopes debunked the claim, saying that it relied on anonymous second-hand reports. There was no independent footage or documented proofs to substantiate the claims. It's really just the worst of the worst. It's just high school rumors. In fact, it's worse than high school rumors because at least in high school, you know the people who are making the shit up.
It's a fake story, and it's a disgrace that they're allowed to do it. It was a terrible thing that somebody could say the kind of things, and especially to me, because I've done more for the military than almost anybody else.
The Atlantic reporting is based on 4 cowardly anonymous sources who probably do not even exist. Meanwhile, within hours, 10 sources, 10, went on the record debunking these lies.
He called them suckers and losers. He did. He absolutely, despite, he has his whole life. He has his entire life.
I know you're super emotional. I just...
Of course I am. I'm terrified.
I'm telling you the political reality is that when they made that decision...
It doesn't matter, but you don't admit that Donald Trump hates veterans. You don't admit it. You deny a man, Chief John Kelly, a Marine. You say he lied.
You're still campaigning.
You say he lied.
It's
not over. It'll never be over.
I want to hear what
It'll never be over. You wish.
The political reality is when they made that decision and everyone realized, oh my gosh, these aren't the competent adults that we were promised.
Donald Trump.
And then when you pile on top of it the decisions that made inflation worse, it was a compounding interest of political crap over time that they could never get out of. And that's how she lost the race.
There was a bipartisan consensus to get out of Afghanistan. That wasn't the point. It was the way it was
Trump's
done.
decision to get out.
Hold on. It was the implementation. It was the fact that they took out our soldiers first instead of last, which is, you would think would be common sense. And again, it's like you said, we thought the adults were in the room. That's why people voted for Biden. A return to normalcy, a return to competence. He's a lifelong public servant. We thought we're going to get normal, we're going to get competent. And that's what
we did. We did. And if in the veterans community,
Afghanistan doesn't signal that. Afghanistan.
The wars in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, the Republican policies that led to those wars, the idea that Joe Biden made the final difficult decision, and his administration and his military leaders. I mean, you guys live on the tippy top of bullshit mountain. If you actually think that so many people think that the pullout of Afghanistan was the pivot point, are you kidding me?
I mean, I can read a chart and I can read a poll. I guess you can't. But the reality is when he made that decision...
Your petty insults are so weak, dude. You have no idea. Like, I don't even understand if you hear yourself talking. Look, you can laugh all you want, but like, I can't read a chart. Like, it's so hacky. It's so uninteresting and unconvincing.
There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called rule by rich folks.
You are so smart. My mother says you're a boy who's going places.
Oh, you don't talk about me to your mother, do you?
And that's what we're dealing with. A bunch of rich folks, 2 rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by 2 billionaires throwing a fit. And it's not even January.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years. Look, I think ultimately all's well that ends well. The government did not shut down. We're not in any kind of crisis over the holidays here. And when the Republicans get sworn in January and Trump comes to the office on January the 20th, they're going to have to come together as a team and decide, are we going to work together or not? That's ultimately how you get things done in a legislative body.
If you like this video, you'll like some of the other videos on the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do that.
Rick speech is a slippery slope but a dangerous one. More speech is better.
Is it really? Okay.
But do you think so you actually think that X is the place of free speech?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you would argue otherwise. Is it not?
Okay.
I think before he took it over, it was not a great place for conservatives, and now it's a great place for everybody.
I'm talking about sending the military into blue states to make them behave, getting Gavin Newsom under control, getting J.P. Pritzker under control.
What are you talking about? What do you mean, like sitting into the state capitol to commandeer the state government?
I hope not, but he's definitely talked about that. I don't know why you're acting like you've never heard this
military to suppress, in the Black Lives Matter era, those protests in the street. He was there himself.
I just make sure I understand your position, that you believe Donald Trump is going to use the military to set up effectively like coups in state capitals of states that he didn't win?
I think you're taking it a step or two.
No, she said make blue states behave, and she also said round up immigrants. That's not true.
Is this going to wear thin with Donald Trump soon?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they appear to be getting along well. Musk was very instrumental in his victory. And I hear Democrats, criticizing the idea that we have unelected people with too much influence over the government. I invite them to pick up the Wall Street Journal from this week and find out that unelected people have been running the government for the last 4 years. I hear Democrats criticizing the influence of billionaires on our politics when you've got this Soros punk running around collecting Democrat politicians like my kids collect Pokemon cards. So,
but we actually are now getting our first taste. This is it, live and in living color, about what it means to have this Doge right out here and what that's going to mean. And that's where Elon Musk's fingerprints are all over this. Because, for example, what this bill says is, let's get rid of funding for research on pediatric cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on early detection of cervical cancer and breast cancer. Let's get rid of funding for research on children with Down syndrome and on sickle cell anemia. Let's get rid of those things so that we can make way for tax cuts for billionaires. That is Elon Musk's notion of efficiency.
Politicians have a problem with just assuming that the voters are stupid, uneducated. They can't do the math. They can't figure out that, hey, this bill has a bunch of earmarks. This bill has a bunch of pork barrel spending in it. This bill has a bunch of log rolling going on in it. If you're against this bill, then you're against everything in this bill. If you shut down this bill, then you're against these programs that are helpful for kids. 100% pure manipulation. Notice how she didn't mention any of the bad programs in there, any of the stuff that she disagrees with. Nope, it's just Orange Man and now Rocket Man bad.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop your fucking lying.